My name is Sheila. Life growing up with just my mother by my side was pure bliss. There was never a day that it seemed gloomy. I never felt that I have a broken family because my mother did everything to make me feel complete. However, I will not deny that hardships have ushered me into this world. I never knew who my father was. My mother told me that he ran away from his responsibilities the moment he discovered that my mother was conceiving me. And after that, we heard nothing of him. And she didn't mention anything more about him to me, and it left me with deep curiosity. My father's absence had always been a shadowy enigma, a question mark in the narrative of my life. But my mother's unwavering love had illuminated my path, shielding me from the uncertainties that lay beyond. Now, as I gazed at my reflection, I had no inkling that the very foundation of my existence was about to crumble. And with that, my mother, Grace, was left alone with the responsibility of raising me. Since I was young, I saw her hustling hard all the while, completing her course in fine arts, majoring in fashion design. She became my role model because she was able to juggle work and studies. She told me that everything she did was for my future. I was content with the life that I have with my mother, and I believed that one day we will rise above our unfortunate circumstances. I knew that my mother would become a huge force in the fashion industry, and it did. After she graduated from her course, a friend of hers loaned her money to open her own fashion house. I was 12 years old at the time, and it was the happiest day of my life. I was so thrilled to see the majestic fashion house she made, and I knew from my call that it would kickstart the success in our life. My mother secured a big-time client. Our lives turned around. Her name and her fashion style became a household name in the country. She created a revolutionary statement in the realm of fashion. She became known in the entire field and became an icon. Clients upon clients came to her company. She did lots of fashion pieces that shook the industry due to its classic yet progressive style. Her fashion shows were a hot topic worldwide, attracting investors from across the globe. The profit of the company skyrocketed when it started to branch out internationally. The fashion house acquired multiple franchises from 6 different continents in the globe. And in just a snap, our life changed. We moved to a large mansion, bought the things I once desired, and travelled the world as much as I wanted. My life was so perfect, and I owe it to the sacrifices and hard work of my mother. Now I am 25 years old, and I am also working in the fashion industry. I am currently one of the creative directors in our company. I enjoy my work in the fashion house because I get to relive the dreams of my mother. I could really say that our social status is now on par with the high elite people, but our humble nature taught us how to appreciate our backgrounds because it is what drove us to where we are right now. One day, I was talking to a symposium for aspiring fashion practitioners. I told them about our life and how we started our empire from nothing. In the dimly lit room, I reiterated to them the once unfortunate life that we had. I told a recent realization of mine when I stood before the ornate mirror that adorned my mother's opulent bedroom. The memories of my childhood rushed back like a tidal wave, each recollection more vivid than the last. I told attendees how it changed my outlook in life. I also told them that my mother had been a luminary in the fashion world, her creations adorning the pages of glossy magazines and gracing the bodies of celebrities and royalty alike, and that she had built her empire from scratch, and her success had painted our lives with a golden hue. I never knew that I would meet the love of my life during that symposium. It was Mark, the man who had swept me off my feet with promises of undying love and devotion. He was one of the board members that joined the convention. He was from a family of hotel moguls and was evidently furnished with a silver spoon. Our worlds were totally a million apart, if I had to assess from my humble beginnings. But Mark loved me for who I truly am. He was a gentleman, he was accepting, and he was very devoted to our relationship. I couldn't find any better man than Mark, whom I could spend an entire lifetime with. He was perfect to me, And aside from that, both of us are into the field of business, and we are very supportive of each other when it comes to our career. Then, after 3 months of dating, we finally tied the knot. The first few months of our marriage were magnificent. We lived our double income, no kids lifestyle. We were thriving in our lanes, and we even travelled to many countries together. In fact, we were having the time of our lives. And then, as our marriage transcended to a year, the lifestyle we once agreed took a toll on me. I already wanted to have a child, but he told me that he was not ready yet. And then I discovered something. His true colours. He was nothing more than a wolf in sheep's clothing. Our union had been orchestrated not out of genuine affection, but as a strategic move to propel his family's business dynasty to new heights. He had ensnared me with his charm, masking his true intentions beneath layers of deceit. I discovered this as I was using our common computer. I happened to unintentionally read his online conversation with his mother, Lara.
"Have you asked her about the company's plan?"
"Not yet. She is gatekeeping it like the idiot she is."
"Can't you convince her? We need to have an insider scoop because we have to be the one to win at the hotel venue for the fashion show."
"I am doing my best here. I treated her to her favourite nasty restaurant, and I try my best to keep up with her bland taste just to have that opportunity at hand. But she is so stubborn. I am completely losing my mind over this stupid woman."
"Just go with the flow. You have to take advantage of her. That's why you took her to your wife in the first place. Make use of your position and use it to our own good. I don't care about her feelings."
"I don't care about her feelings either. I am so sick of her stubborn attitude."
"Just do your job."
That revelation was a punch in the gut. I was not completely oblivious about it because I have seen subtle hints of their manipulations, but I paid it no mind because at the back of my mind, I still trusted my husband. I did not confront him yet. Instead, I bottled my emotions. I am waiting for another offence that he would commit so that I could finally face him about the issue. However, another problem took over me. My mother's health began to deteriorate, and the cold truth about my husband's manipulations emerged like a shard of ice piercing through my heart. For over 6 months, I spent most of my time in the hospital, taking care of my mother and looking over the company. I served as the OIC head director. My mother's battle with cancer was a real big one. But I am truly grateful to all the hospital staff that assisted us all throughout my mother's healing journey. And I really would like to commend the doctor that was treating her, Dr. Brian. One day, a big proposal was forwarded to the office. It was a brand collaboration, and this has been my mother's goal this year. And for her and the company, collaborating with them would be a big breakthrough to the company. I consulted my subordinates about it, and they advised me to stay with my mother because her condition is getting very critical. But my husband and his mother insisted that my absence would be inconsequential, that my presence at the business meeting was of utmost importance, and that if my mother was still well, she would tell me the same. They guilt-tripped me into believing the idea that my mother would be sad at me if I declined that offer. Mark, along with his mother, Lara, hatched a wicked plot to seize my inheritance. They played on my anguish and manipulated my emotions, coaxing me into leaving for a supposed business trip, just as my mother's condition took a turn for the worst. Blinded by my own grief and Mark's beguiling words, I failed to see through the facade they had meticulously constructed. The weight of my mother's impending death overshadowed my judgment, and I acquiesced to their demands. Little did I know that their intentions were far more sinister than I could ever have imagined. As the days unfolded, I remained blissfully unaware of their evil and dreadful plans. They had managed to coerce my ailing mother into signing a new will, one that left me empty-handed and them with the riches I was meant to inherit. While I was away, attending the meeting, They were already plotting the narrative that I left my mother for leisure despite her failing health. Mark and his mother were planting lies in my mother's head, villainizing me. They wove a twisted tale, painting me as an ungrateful daughter who had turned her back on her dying mother. And guess what? Their plans succeeded. They managed to trick my mother into writing the will, and them being the heir. But they had underestimated the presence of a silent observer, a nurse who had been attending to my mother during her final days. Ara, the nurse, was very caring towards my mother. She was the same age as me, and I felt bonded with her. The nurse, a silent guardian of truth amidst the turmoil, began to suspect that all was not as it seemed. She approached me with her suspicions. She contacted me while I was overseas attending the meeting, and together we hatched a desperate plan to expose the web of lies that threatened to ensnare me forever. She managed to snatch the documents, spiriting them away from the clutches of those who sought to deceive me. It was not long before my mother's struggle came to an end. She died just by the time that I came home, and as I stood by her graveside, tears mingling with the rain, I mourned not just her passing, but the betrayal that was set to unravel. I kept my silence just as I had the first time I discovered about Mark and my mother-in-law's conspiracy. I sensed that Mark would do something insensitive at that moment, so as Mark prepared to reveal the contents of the will, a smug smile danced on his lips, the anticipation of his impending triumph palpable in the air.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I know this is a trying time for us to lose someone as valuable as Grace, but it is also the time to celebrate a new era.
He received mixed emotions from the people. Some gasped with worry, and some were happy with what he said.
Everyone, I will reveal Grace's will now.
He raised the paper containing the last will of my mum. He gave me a side eye and smirked as if he was about to reveal something I don't know. But then a flicker of realization crossed his face, his eyes widening in disbelief as he unravelled the truth. The envelope, once brimming with the promise of wealth and power, now contained nothing but empty space, a stark reflection of the emptiness that defined his own character. In a room filled with the expectant hush of onlookers, I stepped forward. With a voice that trembled only slightly, I began to recount the hard journey that had led me to this moment. The deception, the manipulation, the sheer audacity of their scheme. I laid it all bare for everyone to see. Gasps of shock and disbelief rippled through the room as my words hung in the air, a damning testament to their perfidy. And then, as if orchestrated by fate itself, the nurse emerged from the shadows, her presence a beacon of truth. She recounted the conversations she had overheard, the doubts my mother had confided in her during her final moments. Their scheme unravelled further with each word she spoke, until the room seemed to vibrate with the weight of their guilt. Mark and Lara, once arrogantly assured of their triumph, now stood as pariahs before the crowd. The shackles of their own greed and arrogance had bound them tightly, and there was no escaping the reckoning that awaited. As the authorities were called, the clinking of handcuffs punctuated the room, a symphony of justice that reverberated through the air. But that's not what the nurse revealed. She remained standing in front, and the curious people were staring at her. The nurse's name is Rafa.
I would also like to reveal something very important in our life.
She looked at me and flashed a smile. My heart started to pound unstoppable.
Sheila is actually my sister.
She looked at me again.
Sheila, you are my half-sister. We have the same father. And it is Dr. Brian, the one who treated your mother.
My jaw dropped, as well as the spectators.
What do you mean? Is that true?
Yes, You are my daughter."
The shock in me became even more evident. I couldn't believe that I'm finally meeting my father. My father hugged me tight and announced to everyone the possible consequences that he will impose on Mark and Lara, and he will seek revenge for me and my mother. Their fall of grace was swift and unforgiving. Stripped of their facades and exposed for the frauds they were subjected to the full force of humiliation they had so callously attempted to impose on me. The whispers that once sang their praises were now tinged with disdain, and the grand plans they had woven crumbled like a house of cards. And as the dust settled, a new dawn broke. With the truth now etched in stone, I ascended to the position that was rightfully mine, the CEO of my mother's empire, a role that had been wrested from my grasp and now mine to command. The road had been treacherous, fraught with pain and betrayal, but I emerged from the crucible stronger and more resolute than ever. As I looked out over the sprawling kingdom my mother had built, I felt her presence beside me, her spirit interwoven with my own. The legacy she had forged was not a mere inheritance of wealth and power, but a testament to resilience and unwavering love. And as the sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over everything it touched, I knew that her legacy would endure, a beacon of light that no darkness could extinguish. With the echoes of their downfall fading, a renewed sense of purpose surged within me. The empire my mother had built, the empire that had nearly slipped through my fingers, was now mine to wield. The weight of responsibility bore down on me, but I was undeterred. I had triumphed over betrayal, exposing their lies and thwarting their ambitions. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of revelations and redemption. Mark and Lara's reputation crumbled, their arrogance reduced to dust. Their desperate attempts to salvage their image were futile as the truth prevailed, leaving them isolated in their web of deception. The world that had once praised them now recoiled, and they found themselves cast aside by the very society they had sought to manipulate. As the legal proceedings unfolded, the full extent of their crimes came to light. Their attempt to wrest my inheritance was just one thread in a tapestry of deceit that spanned years. The public trial exposed their history of exploitation, manipulation, and fraud. The empire they had constructed on a foundation of lies crumbled, leaving behind a legacy of infamy. In a twist that even I hadn't anticipated, evidence emerged that linked their actions to a network of corrupt officials and unscrupulous businessmen. Their greed had led them down a dark path, entangling them in a web of criminal activity that extended far beyond their initial betrayal. Their downfall, once precipitated by their quest for wealth, had cascaded into their own undoing. As the gavel came down and their sentences were announced, a sense of poetic justice washed over me. Their punishment was not just for their attempt to steal my inheritance, but for the lives they had ruined, the trust they had shattered, and the web of lies they had woven. Their legacy would forever be marked by their own greed and arrogance. With the trial behind me, I took on the role of CEO with a renewed sense of purpose. My mother's empire thrived under my leadership, her legacy living on through the creations she had birthed and the values she had instilled in me. The pain of betrayal had given way to a steely determination to uphold her vision and protect her legacy. Looking back, I marvelled at the strength I had found within myself. The path had been treacherous, fraught with heartache and deception, but I had emerged on the other side stronger, wiser, and unbreakable. My journey from the precipice of despair to the helm of power was a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome even the most sinister of plots. As the years rolled on, the empire continued to flourish. My mother's legacy shone brightly, a beacon of resilience and unwavering love. The betrayal that had once threatened to consume me had instead fueled my ascent, transforming me into a force to be reckoned with. And as the sunlight streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over everything it touched, I stood at the pinnacle of my success, a living testament to the triumph of truth over deception and the enduring power
of a daughter's love for her mother.
If you are Sheila, are you willing to do everything for someone you love, even if it means losing another one? Let us know in the comments section.